Hello everyone, today I'm going to be giving my quick thoughts on every single special weapon in Splatoon 3. No, this is not a tier list. I'm not saying which specials I necessarily think are better than others. I'm just giving you my straight up thoughts when it comes to each special. It could be positive, it could be negative, who knows? Anyways, let's not waste any time because this is going to be a long one. But as always, if you enjoyed the video and want to see more content just like this, please consider giving the video a like and subscribing so you don't miss any more of my videos. Okay, let's go. Big Bubbler. A cool successor to the original Bubbler, but very annoying to deal with. As I mentioned many times before, my least favorite aspect of this special is the satellite in the middle. I hate how the Bubbler user can basically just hide inside of it and use it as a shield. It just kind of feels cheesy sometimes. But with that being said, the special can be very strategic with its placement and timing, which I do quite like. Also, being able to use the Bubbler as a squid beacon to jump to was an excellent idea. Trizuka. How I feel about this is probably no different than how any of you feel about it. The amount of downtime between activation and being able to fire your first shot is just too short, resulting in a lot of unreactable deaths. And for the longest time, this thing's indirect damage was just way too forgiving. However, they did just recently nerf that aspect in patch 9.3.0, which has certainly made fighting Trizuka a bit less annoying. I do still think this thing could use a noticeable startup nerf, but I don't think it necessarily needs it anymore. Killer Whale 5.1. So if you guys remember, a long time ago, I said that this was my least favorite special to fight in the whole game. Fast forward to today, that's not really true anymore. Don't get me wrong, it's still really annoying, but I don't know if it's the fact that it just became less common or I simply got better at dodging it, but facing a killer whale doesn't give me too many issues anymore. Plus, a certain weapon called the Dowser Dualies came out, and I used that weapon so much that I even got the golden killer whale badge. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's probably one of my favorite specials to use. Triple Inkstrike. This special is strong, and it has been for quite some time. I know this is a common thing to say, but I really do think Triple Inkstrike could be toned back just a bit. I know most people seem to want its paint output nerfed to reduce splat zone cheese, and while I would be okay with that, I'd honestly rather they nerf its DPS. If you just do so much as graze the edge of one of the explosions, you instantly die. I remember when the game first came out, the kill time was actually really slow, to the point where almost no one would die to it. I'm not saying they should revert it back to that state, but maybe they could find a nice middle ground. But as it currently is, I do think the special is just a tad bit too strong. Crab Tank. So I've said this before numerous times on this channel, and I know I'm probably the only person on the planet who still thinks this, but I really wouldn't mind if Crab Tank got hit with another nerf of some kind. To this day, I still think it has too much range for the insane fire rate it has. It's too strong at holding down specific areas when it has the high ground. So either nerfing the range or the fire rate would make me really happy. Obviously, I wouldn't expect them to do this. Crab Tank is in a perfectly fine spot right now. It's not like it's overused or anything. It's just a personal hatred of mine. Zipcaster. Okay, so Zipcaster is a weird one, and this is coming from someone who has the golden Zipcaster badge. I really like this special, but I also really hate it. I like it because when it works, it's hands down the coolest special in the game. The amount of creativity and strategy you can employ while using it feels so unique. Not to mention, it just makes you feel really cool while you use it. But if you noticed, I said when it works. And that's the thing, because sometimes this special just does not function properly. When I say that, I'm mainly talking about the armor it gives you. More specifically, it just feels extremely inconsistent. Sometimes it feels like I can tank a ton of shots from multiple people when I'm already weak, and other times it feels like I just instantly die even when I'm fully healthy. Yet I can shoot opponents using Zipcaster what feels like 5 times, yet they seem to just take no damage. Yes, I'm sure the game's poor netcode plays a big factor into why it feels so inconsistent, but regardless, it does subtract some of the fun factor from the special. At least for me. I do love how you can just zip into people and kill them now though. That was a fantastic buff. Just once again, this feels super inconsistent with the poor netcode, and some people will just tank the hit even though you zipped directly into them on your screen. Inkvac. Oh, this poor special. It's been pretty much bottom tier ever since the game came out, and even after a few buffs, it's still down there. I think my opinion on this special is the same as everyone else's. If you just had the ability to cancel the Inkvac or fire the shot early, the special would be so much better. I mean, yeah, it has some niche uses like Rainmaker Cheese, but it's so situational, and even then, it's not reliable enough to be consistently used. I will say, one thing I do find annoying about this special is that they don't do a great job of showing how big the blast radius is when the shot explodes. Similar to the Rainmaker blast radius, there's a lot of times where it looks like you're completely outside of the blast zone, but you die anyways. I mean, it's good for the special, I guess. At least it has something to make it kill easier. Tacticooler. Okay, so here's where I think a lot of people are going to disagree with me. When the game first came out, I really liked Tacticooler. I love the idea of a supportive special where all of your teammates had to come to you in order to make use of it. You had to be really strategic with where you threw the fridge so that all of your teammates would be able to grab the drinks without going too far out of the way. But then Nintendo decided to give Tacticooler this buff, which made it so that teammates could grab the drinks from much further away than before. I didn't like this buff because to me, it kind of took away what made Tacticooler special. If your teammates can just grab the drinks from what feels like halfway across the map, then that eliminates a lot of the strategy needed with coordinating where to throw the fridge. Now yes, it's true, this was the buff that made Tacticooler go from being barely used to becoming a top tier special. So it's bittersweet, I guess. I will say that I think if they reverted that buff now, I don't think Tacticooler would really drop in usage because its effects are just so valuable and people have become so used to it. So yeah, I'm honestly kind of hoping for a small Tacticooler nerf in a future patch. Again, I'm not trying to suggest that they kill the special or anything, but it could use a little slap on the wrist. Wave Breaker. Okay, well, I'm a dually main. I don't think I need to explain much here. I hate this special, one of my least favorites to fight in the entire game. I'm glad this thing sucks, and I'm really glad it's barely gotten any buffs. Okay, if I wanted to give a less selfish perspective, I do think they could slightly buff this thing, I guess. Nothing too crazy though. Maybe just give it a tad bit more health. I've seen other people suggest things like speeding up the shock waves or extending the size of the wave's hitbox. For the love of God, please do not do that. Reefslider. Those of you who watch my videos will know Reefslider is pretty much my main special. Collectively, I have over 6,000 wins on Reefslider weapons. So yeah, I know a thing or two about using this special, and my current thoughts on it might surprise you. Obviously, Reefslider has had the reputation of being one of the worst specials in Splatoon 3. I never thought it was the absolute worst, but it was certainly down there. Here's the thing though, this special has received so many buffs over the years. Sure, some of the buffs were certainly questionable, and some were borderline useless, but collectively, all of these buffs have turned the special into something that, in my opinion, isn't that bad. Now, yes, Reefslider is mainly known right now just for zones cheese, but I do think that even outside of that, if you're just smart with the special and don't always use it as a panic button, you can get away with some pretty crazy things and absolutely change the momentum of games. Its lethal radius has been buffed so much that even with the game's crappy netcode, it will secure kills majority of the time. Also, it's not just good for cheesing splat zones. It can cheese other modes too. You can use it to stop overtime in tower control, or use it to get free jump-ins in clan blitz. It definitely takes some coordination and practice, but it can be done. Now, with that being said, do I think Reefslider is a good special? Hell no. I'm just saying that it's nowhere near as bad as it used to be. Kraken Royale. I've made multiple videos talking about Kraken Royale and how much I hate it, so I don't really think I have too much to say here. However, since I made those videos, I've gotten back into competitive, and in competitive Splatoon 3, you pretty much always have a Tacticooler present on your team, and when you have Tacticooler effects active, it makes jumping out extremely fast, like almost near instant. So I've learned that if a Kraken is charging at you, more often than not, you can just jump out to another teammate. In solo play though, if your team doesn't have a cooler, Kraken can still be quite annoying to deal with. And even with jumping out serving as a counter to Kraken Royale, I'm just not really a fan of that. Like, it's hard to put it into words, but a special that essentially forces opponents to jump out with no other method of survival half the time just doesn't sit right with me. So overall, I do hate Kraken Royale a bit less than before, but not by much. Super Chump. Super Chump might be the most prime example of a special that has extreme potential, but just isn't on the right weapons. They buffed it so much over the years, and when you face someone who knows what they're doing, this special can be really impactful. The problem though is that it's on mostly weak weapons. The strongest thing that comes to mind when I think of Super Chump are the custom dually squelchers, but even that isn't something that you see too often. I feel like if chumps were on something like Tetra or Wiper, you would see this special a lot more. It's a shame, really. Triple Splashdown. To this day, I still think Triple Splashdown needs some kind of nerf. If you're just smart with it, you can basically guarantee at least a trade, since even if someone shoots you out of the splashdown, odds are that one of the fists are still going to kill them. I feel that the fists are just a little too fast for how much damage they can do. If they want to keep the current speed of the special, a great nerf for it, in my opinion, would be to just make the HP of the fists really low, like 10 or something. This would make it so that a partial shot from nearly any weapon in the game would destroy the fists. This would make the special just a bit more manageable in my opinion, and skilled players would have more leeway when it comes to taking down the fists. I don't know, maybe that would be too harsh of a nerf, but my point is, I do think the special is just a tad bit overtuned right now. Splattercolor Screen. Well, I don't have much to say about this one. It was unfortunate how it launched, and some people are still affected by it to this day, even after the changes. It's not on a lot of weapons, but that's probably a good thing. It kind of sucks because I really do like the concept of this special, but it's just been tainted by all of the controversy surrounding it. So yeah, the entire special is just kind of a bummer. I also don't think it will ever return in a future Splatoon title. Booyah Bomb. I think Booyah Bomb is a really solid special. I've always thought it was strong, especially after the recent buff. Nothing about it is particularly annoying to fight, and it serves its purpose well. Something I did want to say is that even though I have the golden Booyah Bomb badge, whenever I use it, I still feel like I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't know, it probably just has to do with the fact that I don't use it often anymore, but I just feel like I kind of never got the hang of this special, which is weird since using it is pretty straightsforward. Inkstorm. How I feel about Inkstorm is pretty much the same way I described Super Chump. Has the potential to be strong, but it's just not really on any strong weapons. I think Inkstorm in concept is really powerful. I mean, it can clear out an entire area, the activation is slow, and it does move slowly, but I still think that if it were just on the right weapons, we would see it a lot more. Oh, and I was pretty sad to see that the really cool healing buff they gave the special didn't end up mattering too much, because that idea was so sick in concept. Inkjet. This special did have its moment in Splatoon 3, but I honestly kinda hated it then because Inkjet was just way overtuned. They did nerf it after that, and in my opinion, it's at the perfect spot right now. The issue though is that now that it's not stupidly OP, you rarely see it because it's not on any weapons that are worth running anymore. So, once again, a special that has potential, but just isn't on the right weapons. Like if the L3 Nozzle Nose or Splat Dualies got Inkjet in this game, I guarantee you that you would see them all over the place right now. But sadly, that's just not the case. Oh yeah, and why does no dually in this game have Inkjet? That was such a weird and bad decision. Tenta Missiles. This special was horrid at the end of Splatoon 2, and it was just as bad at the start of Splatoon 3. But luckily Nintendo realized this and nerfed it pretty quickly. To be honest, it's still pretty annoying after the multiple nerfs it's received, but it is much less stupid. Guys, you're never gonna believe what I'm about to say right now, but I think that if Tenta Missiles were just on some better weapons in the game, we would see a lot more of it. Oh, wait, that's literally what I've said like 3 times already. It's almost like third kits would really benefit the specials in this game. To be fair though, I'm kinda glad Tenta Missiles aren't more common. Last, but certainly not least, we have Ultra Stamp. At the time of recording this video, this special recently just got a massive buff to its throw mode, where they increased the lethal radius by so much that it's basically turned into a Zuka shot. Now I will say, I don't think this buff has made the special top tier or anything. It's definitely better, but it's not a terribly broken change like everyone thought it would be. Now with that being said, I think Ultra Stamp is a fine special. Yes, it can be really frustrating to use, but when you use it right, this thing can get away with a lot. Using it around walls and corners where you're protected from the side makes it even better. Alright guys, we did it. Those are my thoughts on all 19 special weapons in Splatoon 3. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know down below if you agreed with my thoughts, and also let me know what you think of the specials in this game. Do you like most of them? Do you hate most of them? Let me know everything. With that being said, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you all next time.